Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in. As I've mentioned in some of my previous tutorials, I love to design random objects. And if you were ever wondering how to design some toilet paper, you've come to the right place. So without further ado, I'm going to get started on designing some toilet paper. Now this one shouldn't take me too long. It looks pretty basic, but I'm going to go ahead and start by drawing some of my basic shapes here. So I'm going to go ahead and start by drawing this circle and try and match it up as close as I can to my sketch. And once I get it into a good position, I'm going to then start replicating this and decreasing the size so that I can get some of these inner lines. So to do that, I'm going to come up here to Object, and I'm going to come here to Path and Offset Path. So now I can choose what I want the offset to be and make sure to always have that preview checked. So I'm going to come into something about here. And I'm going to keep doing that a few more times. Now you'll notice that this isn't exactly working too great. The circle is kind of getting deformed a little bit. So I think the best way to do this is, instead of doing offset path, I'm going to just scale it. Let's just go with that. So I'm going to come here, Object, Transform, and I'm going to come here to Scale. And I'm going to bring this down. We'll do the middle one first. I'm going to do about that. And I need to shift it over a little bit to match up with my sketch. And I'm going to do the same thing again. Object, Transform, Scale. And now this time I need to scale it up. Maybe like right there. Oops, I didn't copy. Alright. And I'm going to do that again. And I'm going to have to resize this one a little bit. So I'm just trying to match up with my sketch right now. And I'm going to end up taking some of these, breaking up some of these paths, so I'm fine with it being sized like this. So now I'm going to add this line in here. I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste in front, Command C, Command F, and now I'm just going to use my selection tool and just resize this to just match up. So I'm going to leave this as is for now. Actually, you know, I'm going to get this last circle in the middle. So I'm going to do Command C, Command F one more time to duplicate the circles. And I'm just holding Option and I'm just dragging in to resize. So I'm going to change this stroke to a fill. And there we go. There's part of the toilet paper roll. So now I want to work on this right edge of the roll. So to do this, I'm going to hold Option and click and drag this circle to duplicate it over here so that we maintain the same curve. And I can actually now get rid of some of this circle. I only need the top right portion. So with the scissor tool, I just clicked on the top and the right points, and now I can just remove that. And with the pen tool, P on the keyboard, I'm just going to continue this path. I'm just going to click and hold Shift and make sure that these are lined up, and click again to add my last point. Okay, so now I need to work on this rectangle portion. So to do this, I'm going to draw a few guides first. So I'm going to pull a guide here, and I'm going to pull a guide right there, making sure that everything's intersecting. And now what I'm going to do is, and to get to this outline mode, I just hit Command Y, and to get out of this, I'm going to do the same thing, Command Y again. And now I'm going to draw a rectangle for the hanging portion of the paper. So with my rectangle tool, I'm going to make sure I'm lined up with this anchor, and I'm just going to draw my shape. And I'm going to match up with my guides as best as I can, and make sure that it has a stroke. Alright, so now I can break this rectangle up a little bit. So I'm going to isolate it by double clicking on the shape, and I'm going to press C on the keyboard to pull up my scissor tool, and I'm just going to click on these points right here. And there we have it. So now what I can do is I want to join these strokes and make it one continuous path. So I need to get this shape out of the way real quick. I'm just going to cut, Command X, and with my direct selection tool, that's this one, A on the keyboard, I'm going to draw a box around this to select both of the edges, and I'm going to press Command J to join the paths. Sweet. So now that I've done that, this is now one whole path, and I'm going to paste that other line back in place, and I'm going to give it a dashed stroke. So I'm coming over here to my stroke panel and select dash, and the values are a little weird right now, so I need to come in here and adjust this a bit. So I'm just gonna go with what I think looks okay. Again, you can probably play around with these and come up with your own values, but I'm just gonna leave it like that. And I need another one, so I want to duplicate this line. So holding Option on the keyboard and clicking and dragging down, I'm going to drag it down to right about there. And now we just have one more line to go. So just to make sure everything's straightened, I'm going to draw a guide, make sure it's intersecting, grab my pen tool, and just go along this guide right here. And there we have it. So now I want to come into here and break up some of these paths a little bit, and I want to actually be able to see where I need to break these. So I'm going to select these lines, and I'm going to turn the opacity down quite a bit. Okay. So I'm going to break up this outer ring first. So I'm going to select it and then press the key on the keyboard, or sorry, C on the keyboard for the scissor tool. I'm just going to click where these lines should be breaking. Alright, and then I'm going to remove the unnecessary pieces, and I'm going to continue doing this for the other rings. Pretty simple here. Alright, so now that I have this looking pretty good, I'm going to select them all again and make sure the opacity is at 100%. Alright. Looks like I forgot one. Okay, so I mean, this one is looking a little bit weird. I think I want to actually have it. I don't want this one anymore, actually. So I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to just draw another one. So I'm going to copy this shape, and I'm going to paste it into place. Command C, Command F. And now I'm just going to custom resize it. Try and get something that looks a little bit better. Okay, let's see how this looks. Okay. That looks a little better. I'll go with it. Okay, so I want to make sure that my strokes have rounded caps. So I'm just going to go ahead and select all of this. And I'm going to come over here to my stroke panel and select the rounded caps. Okay. And now we have a roll of toilet paper. So I'm going to add a fill color. And I can do that easily by selecting my circle from the lines layer. And I'm going to grab this rectangular paper shape and just copy it. And I'm going to paste it into place on my color layer. Switch that up a little bit. And I'm going to bring this path down, and I'm going to continue it right here. So I'm just going to use the pen tool and complete this shape. So I'm just going to come right back up to the top point and close the path. So this is all going to be white anyways, and I could just have one fill shape for this entire thing, but this works. Okay, little weird piece right here I'm going to get rid of. So I'm going to change the fill color to white, and just so I can see some kind of a difference, I'm going to add a background color. So come to my background layer and press M on the keyboard, and I'm going to type in my artboard size, which is 1080 by 1080, and come up here to my alignment tools, align it to the left edge and the top edge, and I'm going to give it a nice bright green background. Alright, So now I just need to add a little bit of shading here. Obviously there needs to be some type of dark shading in this um, underneath piece right here. So I'm just using the pen tool and I just drew a shape in that area. So I'm going to change the fill color to be the same color as my stroke color, and I'm going to turn the opacity down quite a bit here. 40% works. So now I don't actually think that toilet paper really reflects any light, so there probably isn't a whole lot of shading that it technically needs. So I'm gonna just kind of embellish it a little bit. So let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and copy this shape for my color. I'm gonna paste it on my shading layer. Change the fill. And I'm gonna duplicate this shape. Command C, Command F. Change the fill color once more, and just shift it down a little bit. I'll go about right there. And I'm going to select both of these and come over here to my Pathfinder tool, the divider, and just click on that. Now what that does is it groups these shapes together. So I don't want that. I need to object ungroup. So now I can get rid of this blue, get rid of that blue, and I'm actually going to want to get rid of this piece of the red, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm going to grab this circle from my lines layer. I'm going to paste it onto my shading layer. I'm going to flip the stroke to a fill, change the color, and I'll send it to the back just so we can see it better. So what I want to do now is I want to select both of these colors or these shapes and divide it again, ungroup, and I'm going to get rid of that. There we go. Now again, I don't know how toilet paper should be shaded, so this is something new I'm learning as I'm going through it, but yeah, it looks okay. So I'm going to add a little bit more here. I'm going to paste that circle shape in again and duplicate it. Bring it down a little bit. And make sure that both of these are selected and divide. So I'll end up keeping this piece. A little bit of shading on top and bottom. And I'm going to get my eyedropper tool and select this top piece right here so that they all have the same appearance. I actually think I'm going to make this a little bit higher opacity. Alright, and I'm going to come up here to my lines layer once again, select this shape, and come back down here to my shading, paste it in place, and I'm going to turn that opacity down. Okay, so I actually think that I need to adjust this cap right here. It doesn't quite look like the inside of a toilet paper roll. So this should be some kind of like bar thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it out a little bit and draw some lines that don't have a capped edge. And I'm going to duplicate this top. You can kind of see the bar shape a little better here. And I'm totally going off script. This wasn't at all part of the sketch. Just a little adjustment on the fly to make it look a little better. Alright, so now I'm going to give this a little bit of a fill. A bit of fill inside too. Make it yellowish. I think I want to make that a little bigger. So I'm going to come back up here to my lines, and I'm going to increase the size of this guy right here. Looks like I got a little bit of funkiness going on. So I'm going to see what's going on there. Alright. So now I need to bring these lines up. Bring this one down. Now I have my smart guides turned on, so I'm able to know when certain lines intersect and are aligned nice. So make sure you have your smart guides turned on. To do that, just come up here to view smart guides, make sure that's checked. Huge help. Alright, so now I have a little bit bigger bar in the middle. Sorry if this is going a little fast. I'm kind of just winging it right here. So I'm gonna get rid of some of this overlappage. So with my scissor tool, I'm just gonna click where these intersect and get rid of that piece. And I'm going to need to fix that on my shading. So I'm just going to actually get the eraser tool and just draw along this line right here to erase the fill. Looks like I need to do it here too. Okay, so let's make this a little darker. Oops. Okay, now we can actually see a little better. It looks more realistic. So I'm gonna fill this inner bar. Copy this circle shape, stroke, paste it. And I'll make it, again, yellowish. So now I'm going to draw with the pen tool, just the fill for this piece. And I'm going to make that the same color. I want to make this actually a little bit different. Alright. Okay, so now I'm going to add some shading to this. So this is where some actual real shading can come into place. So I just did that by drawing a weird looking rectangle with my pen tool. And I'm going to do that again for the bottom part. Make that white. That still looks a little too bright, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit. And then I'm going to add a little glare to this piece. And I just did that by using the ellipse tool, and I drew a little circle. And I'm going to make another smaller one. There we go. Okay. This looks like some toilet paper. I think I'm going to add a couple more just minor touches. I'm going to add some shading where the perforation is. Again, I don't know if this is actually how toilet paper looks, but it seems alright. Make it a little bit bigger. You know what, I just thought it would be really cool to add some kind of pattern onto this paper, make it super fancy. But you know what? I think this works. So I'm gonna just go ahead and leave it at that. I think the last thing I want to do here, actually, I'm gonna bump this up just a little bit. Alright, so yeah, the last thing I need to do here is I kind of want to add a little bit of shadow. We have a floating roll of toilet paper, and as you can tell, gravity isn't quite working correctly. But you know what? This isn't real life, so let's go ahead and add a shadow. I'm going to come up here to my lines layer, and I'm going to select everything, Command A, and copy. And I'm going to call this shadow, and I just pulled up these layer options by double clicking on the layer, and I'm going to change the color to be magenta. And I'm going to go ahead and paste everything into place, Command F, and I'm going to come up here to Object, Expand Appearance, and then again Object, Expand, and press OK. So now I want to come over here to the Pathfinder tool and combine everything. Now I'm going to change the fill color, and I'm going to come up to this one with the Pathfinder tool and select that. So now I have one full shape of my toilet paper. So what I can do now is shift it a little bit. And I'm going to change the fill color and turn the opacity down. Okay, and there we have it. A tutorial on how to design toilet paper. Again, thank you guys for checking this out. If you have any questions at all, feel free to leave it in the comments below, or feel free to find me on Instagram, send me a message, get in contact with me with whatever you can. I will answer everything. Thank you guys, and until next time, see you later.